Um, Happy belated Thanksgiving and all that good stuff. And happy holidays. Okay, so a challenge to you guys. I already put it out there in the video, but um, what I did was I challenged you all to making your own Christmas present. Now, I have another challenge too. Um, Now, I want you guys to come in here and post as many of your Christmas ornaments that you made. No. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I might put a prize up for this. Um, let's see. I have this box I made, and it's I believe it's out of cherry wood, but I have to cut the end off of it. But yeah, this is I can send this to you to win a prize. Whoever comes up with the most creative Christmas present on here wins a prize. I don't know. Um, I had fun making this, by the way. This was a pretty good. The wood on this is pretty cool. A lot of my friends do a lot of carving in between stuff. I don't like that. That kind of hides the grainage, and the drainage, baby. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna show you today how I can make a small Christmas tree. Now this is pretty easy. Um, it's not a big deal. I just took one of scrap woods. It's not very big. It's probably about 5 inches. It'll probably end up being 2.5 inches around or something. But I want to show you guys how to do this. Pretty simple. And this word, it's in the mind. It's in the mind. And I like doing these because they're really simple Christmas trees. You don't have to get really extravagant. You can do whatever you want. I usually do them out of bark, but I don't like. I like to have a combination of a bunch of stuff. I don't see anybody on here. Well, I don't know. Hey, oh, there is anybody. What's going on? Peace to the world. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm gonna take this out of the way. What I'm trying to do here is create some Christmas stuff. Now, everybody around the world, what I want you to do is create your own Christmas present, a Christmas ornament for a tree. If you don't have a tree, then create something that you can put on a tabletop or whatever your decoration is. Make a decoration. Make it. I don't care what it is. Just make a decoration. When you get it done, post it on here. Now you got 3 weeks before the big day. All right. Christmas Eve is the 24th. We got like about 3 weeks or something, right? So let's see you do that and then post it on here. I want to see you can get creative. Maybe you might get something from me. No, I'm just kidding. So today I'm going to do a short segment on a Christmas tree. Now I'm turning a piece of wood, I don't know what kind of wood it is. I think it's spalted a bit. It might be a little bit maple. See, there's a little bit of spalting in there. But what I'm going to do is try a small Christmas tree, show you how to do it. If you've never subscribed to me, please subscribe so that I could give you guys, you can see what I'm doing. That way you don't know if I'm not doing anything if you don't subscribe, because then it won't pop up. Pop-up videos. Pop-up videos. Okay, so what I have done is just taken a scrap and cut the corners off. Now, I cut the corners off for a reason. If it's square, what happens is you chip it. So you'll chip the wood more than anything else. So what I do is I kind of, and if it doesn't have to be perfect, because when you turn it, you're gonna tend to turn it into a cylindrical. I can't even say it. You're gonna turn it to where it's circle anyway, so it won't matter. So this is probably about 5 inches. Yeah, it's about 5 inches and probably about 3.5 or something. Well, about just under, it's about 3 inches thick. What'll happen is, of course, you're gonna shrink it. But see, now this is where you use your brainage, brainage or drainage. If you don't use your brainage, you kind of drainage. You know what I mean? Ha! Hey, good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how I do this. I'm gonna use a carbide tipped uh, chisel here. I gotta get this out. Okay, so and you always want to use this. If you're a turner, I've already broken my nose enough times. My face is ugly enough. I don't need to add to it. Not unless you want a Frankenstein or stitches. That will add to it. Okay, so now I've got my carbide tipped. This is what in CI5. Man, dirty. Anyway, I use this. I like using this because instead of a regular gouging chisel, because I could change the top off of it really easy. Okay, so now, and I believe I'm at 1,000 RPM. That's what I like to do things at. Really, I don't change it much. Now you can see how to shape how it is. I'm going one side to this side, but the other side, because it's wider, is showing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different one this time. Oh, that's the other thing. This is different settings. They're different tools, so you want to do a different setting. So this one, you want to leave as flat as you can and go at because you got an angle here. So when you're turning, turn it, burn! Now, as you see, as I get closer to this end, I'm not so much worried about this end as I am that end. I like to take and go in from an angle and go like this because when you're going like this, you have a tendency to chip out the edges. So you'll flare it out a little bit. You guys got it? You got it? That's working good. Now, the only thing I want to do here is a little bit. You see that? And I know this bottom is not flat, completely flat, but I change that. I'll just flip it around. And I do have it at an angle this side because this is the bottom and this is going to be the top. So playing that in your head when you're doing that in first place. So That's think in your head when you're doing this. What before you even put the log on, actually figure out how you want to cut this, what it's going to look like, roughly. Okay, so you want to have a Christmas tree, right? So I think I moved around here. Now you're going to have a Christmas tree. So what I want to do here is you see this is a little bit of an angle, so I'm going to flip it around a little bit. And I want to get this flat. Flat enough, anyway. I just want to get it round, just squared off enough to where I can square. Okay, so okay, so now that I got that squared off, no, or rounded off, no, I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna plan where I want to make my base and my branches. I'm gonna branch out. I'm gonna branch out. Hang on, hold that thought. Now, I'm just guesstimating. Size makes a difference. Take that how you like it. Anyway, this is probably about the size I want to make my base. Okay, so then everything after that is probably going to be. Now that's the branch I'm going to put right about here. So I want to make it so it's. Now it doesn't have to go by that. You can change it as you go. And I normally do because I have to, because when you're carving, sometimes you come across problems in there. There's a knot in here and all that kind of stuff. So let's buzz job this sucker, man. Now, when I start doing these, I put the groove in it, right? So I'm using I believe it's a CI4. I got to clean these things up, but this thing it puts a pretty good groove in it. And see what's good about this again is carbide tip. This gets dull. You can flip it around. You just unscrew it and then flip it around. So you kind of you get the lasting. This actually lasts better than some of the steel ones. See, the problem with these is I have to sharpen these up constantly. You see the pitch in it. This thing's pretty brutal right now. So, and it's hard to. You can tell when I sharpened it, it didn't do a very good job. I have a setup on my um, grinder, but I still can't do it right. So sometimes I have to pay somebody to do it. So now anyway, there's a small distance in between here and there. So what I'm going to do is going to go a little bit deeper. Now I have these tools, these little tools. Now the problem with these is it's hard to sharpen because they're so small. So I'm going to do the best. I think they're dull or almost dull. I got to find somebody who can sharpen these because I haven't got no clue. Now, let's see, one thing I like about these is that you could take this and you could go up in there. So I've got another set here, like this. And see, you could take these and go up in here, which is really kind of fun because a lot of these I like to make. That's what I end up doing. So I can make it like the branches up in there on a regular tree. You go out and look at a blue spruce, for instance. They're all like, oh, baby, they got like wings. Like, they're all like this, right? So you got to taper them accordingly. You got to picture this in your mind. If you can't picture it in your mind, take a picture and bring it with you, you know? But make your own. Here's the other thing: is make your own tree. Don't because I told you to do it this way doesn't mean you do it this way. You make your own tree. So okay, so that's really good. I like that. Now, the only thing I have to tell you is that you got to be careful with your edges too, because you don't want to take and have an issue where you split it. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to start this one a little bit further than what I did. Now, I'm using this, and I'm going to dig in at an angle like this, because the way you want this bottom part, or this top part, I mean, you want this to flare in, right? So that it goes like this. So you're kind of, shake shingle. If anybody's done any shake shingle roof stuff, you know what I'm doing. You kind of layer it. The same idea. It's like feathers on a hawk or. Now, as the rest of it is going, you could probably take something like this. See how high that is? So you want it just a smidge lower. You're always going to adjust this fence, your tool rest, I mean, so that you always have to play around with it to make it work, but See, that looks pretty good. So what you do, if you want to go deeper, you just do it a little bit with this. Move the tool wrist. Move it, move it. Now the key to this, see how it's curved a little bit? You could go back with it, which is fine. Just make sure that you're watching your edges. Your edges, baby. This thing keeps turning. I'll use the other one, I think. Okay, so then you come back and I could use this, like this. Okay, so that's one version of that. So now you want to make a second version. Each time you go and do this, you want to make it smaller. That way. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to probably do this a little bit. I think my tools are getting dull. Peeps. Oops, wrong one. Alright, my tools are getting dull. You see how I'm doing that? I got a little bit more of a ridge right there I gotta take care of, though. Now I'm gonna flip it around. Reason being, because what happens is you got all these teeth here, right? So you ever see the teeth on the end of this? That's the problem is this will grab your tool, fling it at you. It's dangerous. You'll gouge it. Yeah. You can tell some of my tools are a little dull. It's a little punky, but that's the kind of wood too. So I'm not worried about it too much. So my problem is I need a more of a dimple on this side, but I got it. A lot of times I just glue something the other end of it. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. Okay, so now see, I'm getting down there, so I gotta be careful I don't botch this up. I did a little bit, but it's not bad. So now for the third one, or do I leave it like that? So what I want to do with this one, what am I doing here? Wizard. Okay. Again, I'm going to do this now. Screw it, baby. Okay, so now this is where it gets tricky. Okay, so what I normally do is I try to get under here with that one, but it's getting to be kind of tricky. So what I'm going to do is that the last thing I'm going to use is this thing. And I have a friend of mine tell me I don't know what I'm doing, how I do this. I know how to do it, it's a scraper. But what I'm doing here is I'm going to do it a different way. I can use this tool a couple of different ways. But, okay, so there you have it, a Christmas tree. Pretty simple, short and sweet. You can make this size whatever you want to make it. You can raise this up further. You can raise it down. I just happen to do it this way. Now, I'm going to round this off on the drill press. I have a sanding disc. And what I usually do at the top part, I get this pointed enough. I'll put a star on the top of this. All right. So, question or comments about how I do this. Now I'm going to sand this a little, so I'm going to put back on. But there's so many different ways you can make a Christmas tree. This is just one way. Now, if you want to get creative, you do the same thing, make it bigger, or just leave it the way it is. You could take a Dremel, or if you're a carver, you could carve little grooves in it. You can make little drawings on there, and you can paint this green. Could stain it green. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can put fake lights on here. They can buy it at the Hobby Lobby and stuff. But yeah, if you open mind, people, open mind. So I'm going to turn it this way because I want to do one more thing to it. All right. One more little tiny thing. Don't know if it'll work, but we'll see. I'll use this thing. So now, the only reason I'm doing it this way is because I want to get a little bit more in there. And if this thing's angled this way. It's like it's a left-handed thing. I don't know. That's probably about as good as I'm going to do. Now, I could, if I wanted to, put that on a chuck and do it, but I'd have to change the head of the chuck. I've got it set for another project, so I don't want to do that. One more thing I got to do to it. Now these things are good. These things are good for sanding. With something like this, I'm probably going to use a little bit of a 320 because it's not that rough. But what I like about this is you can do this. So you have the problem with this though is I have to flip it around. It doesn't grip. So I always put the bad part in the bottom. There's a couple of ways of doing this. If you could turn this and then put it in the chuck too, that helps. The chuck works better sometimes, but it depends on how you're doing it. With a chuck, you could actually go out like this You can disconnect this, push it over to the side. I'm just doing this way because my chuck is set up a certain way right now, and I didn't want to change it. Well, this is where having two chucks make a difference. Chuck 1 and Chuck 2, right? Hey, Chuck! Be like me in a high school when I used to work. I was like that throughout my call, my high school. Hang on a second here. Yeah, throughout my high school years, there was always more than two Jeffs in one classroom. I think there was like three. And every time the teacher would ask a question and he wanted the Jeff to answer, the Jeff, forget the answer, which Jeff? Now, you're always going to have burrs. So, spur burrs. Ow. I don't think I can tell you when you're doing like this. It burns. Sometimes I use gloves, but you got to be really careful because it'll burn your fingers big time. So, yeah, I gotta do one more. Yeah, I think I'll use 150 here for a second. So a little bit more burrs on here. Burrs. See how it is easy to get the corners? When I do bowls, it actually works out pretty good too. For all you new people out there, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe and it'll tell you, well, hopefully it'll let you know when I'm on or not. I haven't been on lately because I had a lot of Christmas stuff going on. Okay, so tonight is opening night at Fine Line Art Studio in St. Charles, Illinois. Okay, so if you're a local and you want to go see my stuff and Stu's Glass, you have to go to online where it says Fine Line Art Studios, and you see where it's at. They'll tell you it's on the corner of Holcomb and Crane Road. And I believe it's probably open at 6 or something, 5 or 6. I'll be there tonight at one point. I worked last night, checking in people. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of pottery. You got pottery, stained glass, fused glass, woodworking, jewelry, crocheting. I know I'm missing something there. Oh, blown glass. There's a glass maker that they have a blown glass. They have a blown glass class in there. It's cool. The guy is pretty cool. Oh, blacksmithing. I do blacksmithing sometimes. It's fun. Okay, so. Yeah. So now you've sanded it, right? And you don't worry about getting it, you don't have to be perfect about getting all these. I mean, the tree's not perfect. So what I'll do is I'll sand this. But I got to get my sanding disc. Hold on, please. Oh, wait a minute. What am I talking about? Get sanding disc in here. these come in pretty handy. When you do the sanding disc, these things, they come in handy. Now I've got different size. You can never have enough sanding stuff. So I'm going to take you over here. And